Insurance Act 1973 and for related purposes.
Order. It being 7:30, I propose the question that the House do now adjourn, and I call the honourable member for Lilley.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Speaker. ABS data shows that young people experienced the highest job losses before and since the GFC. And that really shouldn't come as a surprise, because roughly 2 in 5 people in their early 20s and almost 1 in 5 people in their late 20s and early 30s are casually employed. On the principle of last in, first out and who is the easiest and cheapest to fire, it makes sense that young casuals generally get hit the hardest of any economic downturn. We've seen this with COVID-19, where young people employed as casuals in the hospitality and the retail and arts and recreation industries have had their hours slashed or their jobs cut altogether. While some people are lucky to have JobKeeper to rely on for the next few months, more than a quarter of young people are excluded altogether because of the eligibility rules around casuals. A large number of these casual workers are also uni students, accruing tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, not knowing whether it will actually lead to a job in the end. I recently spoke with Shirley, who's a visual arts student at ACU Banyo campus, who expressed to me her growing doubt about choosing to study in a field that she loves, not knowing whether that industry would even be viable when COVID-19 is over. The same concern is likely shared by our journalism students, who are entering a field where the ABC funding is being slashed, jobs are being cut, and regional media increasingly shut down altogether. In every field where jobs are cut, nabbing a spot becomes increasingly difficult, and many are left with no job and a huge pile of debt. To weather the economic storm, we've seen 450,000 people under the age of 30 access their superannuation. This fact, combined with huge HECS debts and lower rates of home ownership amongst younger households, driven by economic and institutional influences, will have serious consequences down the track, where our young people of today eventually look to retire in the future. Many of them will not have the benefit of an investment or a superannuation nest egg or a house that they own outright. So I am standing here today to amplify the voices of our young people and our older generation of tomorrow. We can't walk people to a cliff without a parachute and just let them to see if they fall or they fly. They deserve better than an economy that consigns them to a lifetime of low wages, of job insecurity and of unaffordable housing. If young people have to bear the brunt of COVID-19 economic recovery, it is not just going to affect them during the immediate recovery period, it is going to affect them well into their future. All levels of government and all sides of government need to come together to work out who is falling through the gaps and where support is needed, and create practical and meaningful plans forward. The best way to improve the outlook for young Australians is to get back to high rates of job creation as quickly as possible. We have lots of young families moving to the Sandgate and Brighton area, and they need hospitals and schools and infrastructure and services so that they can live out their dreams. We could be investing in Northside infrastructure projects, like upgrading Gympie Road or building more social housing to create local jobs. These projects could have a minimum number of apprentices to make sure that our young tradies are getting a fair start. We could be incentivising young people who have become unemployed because of COVID to use their time to upskill with short-term TAFE courses, especially in IT and in innovation. We could be investing in a local government program that specifically employs long-term unemployed young people to maintain our fantastic parks and our bushes and waterways. There are more particular measures we could consider to support our small businesses being run by young people, like increasing the small brewers rebate so local breweries like Ether Brewing in Northgate can afford to hire more workers. We also have to invest more into employment service providers to help people who are low-skilled and experiencing long-term unemployment get back on their feet. Earlier this year, I spoke to Bonnie from Aspley, who expressed her frustration about being pushed around providers with no real actual help to show for it. To help young people in the media, we could allocate federal funding to the Walkley Foundation for example, to establish a grants program for local and regional media outlets so that community papers and local papers, like the Northside Chronicle and the Bayside Star on our Northside community, could continue to tell local stories and give opportunity to young graduate journalists who need somewhere to start. Now, Deputy Speaker, these are just a few ideas, but I am ready and willing to work with the federal government to create local jobs, to kickstart the Lilley economy and to secure a stronger, fairer future for the young people on the north side who are currently not getting their fair share and cannot see hope from this Morrison government.
I thank the honourable member for Lilley, and I call the honourable member for Barker.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm speaking tonight in support of the Australian Made campaign. I'm here to encourage